Previously on cEDH television, we took a look at KINNAN's win rate. That is honestly really bad. But then we worked through a big process figuring out if we could calculate in a different manner, finding that this might be KINNAN's potential win rate. Link in the description below of the video for this video's entire process on how it was figured out and calculated. But also during that entire video we basically found that ROGSI is apparently bad. And that sparked the question that maybe we should actually take a look at more commanders in general. Because there's that topic of the cEDH potential tier list. So this is the current cEDH tier list. This is calculating everyone that is entered into a not everyone, but close to everyone that has entered into a cEDH tournament, looking at what commander they played and calculate what win rate that commander gets. So this value is putting CSA at the top, the best commander in the format, closely followed by Krom and Tymna, and on fourth position you can see there ROGSI, Cilias and Rograk at a 26.07, and down here, just like behind me, you have a KINNAN on 21.34. But this clearly demands an update, as here's KINNAN's win rate after another calculation, and this is ROGSI's win rate. Yeah, you get the point. But let's begin by explaining the reference numbers, so you understand what we are referring kinda to. We are looking at a player base that only have good verified players in it. You see, we have an exclusion criteria is that the player have to have a win rate in green and have participated in 10 or more tournaments. And from 88,000 unique players, we suddenly have 263 unique players. And those 263 is getting an average win rate of 29.81. So any commander that has a win rate higher than that is performing better than the total average. Any commander that is lower than that is performing worse than the total average. So for example, Bruce, Thrasius, or let's actually go, any combination of Thrasius together with Akiri or Bruce is basically generating a 27.96 from 102 tournament entries, which would indicate that they are performing worse than the total average. But now we need to explain something going forward with this video, and I will explain why, or it will make sense why you see both Akiri and Bruce up there. You see that 102 are actually just too few. In close to all of my cEDH videos about tournament performance, you can mostly and always see a text down there in the bottom right corner. Chi-square test result is not statistically significant. Those of you who understand what that means, you know what I'm talking about. What that is trying to showcase or trying to calculate is if that win rate number, that 27.10, is random or if it's something we can trust. With a higher sample size, bigger than the total 23 there, you're getting a more secured result. For example, Tymna Krom, played by everyone looking right now, we have 2,499 tournament entries, that's quite a lot. And the chi-square test is now statistically significant. That means that that value up there is not something random. It is something kind of guaranteed. We can trust that that win rate up there is correct. But when you have something like 102, you can't really trust it. So we're seeing something of more of a potential here, and as more tournaments are being played, we will increase that value over time and have a more trustworthy result. But at the end of this video, I still have a very good takeaway picture to show you. But let's just walk through them. So this is CSA. I actually added black to the new updated commanders. So this is from the previous video. Some of you might have seen CSA. This is actually in statistically significant. 374 is enough to make sure that this is a trustworthy result. But she's definitely in the green. She's performing good. We already showcased Rograk Cilias. This is also statistically significant. This is very trustworthy. So we have a very guaranteed verdict that Rograk and Cilias are performing quite weak. And in the end, wouldn't be recommended, you can say, because the reference value was 29.80, so it's like more than 3% drop from the total average. Then we have Tymna and Crom. This is also statistically significant because that is a very high sample size, also showcasing a very good performance. Magda, this is not trustworthy, 49 is very low, but it's showcasing a very good promise. Nadu, 28, very low, but still showcasing a very good promise. Too low, Vinota, but I want to emphasize another part. If you're seeing a very low participant rate, like a very low amount of players actually playing this, that is also an indicator that this is not popular. When a player is playing something and they observe that they're losing a lot of games with Vinota, they're going to move away from Vinota and stop playing it. So the popularity vote is basically saying that Vinota might be bad, and the win rate is also pseudo confirming that. And this is Yuriko. That takes us to the newer ones that I've calculated most recently. Dehada, Binder of Wills, 30% win rate. Kenrith, this is almost statistically significant, but it's very close. A few more Kenrith games and we can have a more secured guaranteed result. And as you can see, he's performing quite good actually. Then we have Sakashima and Krark. This is not statistically significant, so we can't really trust it, but it's showcasing a good result. And 67 entries is kind of good as well. Crom and Tevesh has a very high participation rate, 82 tournament entries, win rate 28.71. So they are a little bit lower than the total average, and the sample size is not that small. So even though it's not guaranteed, we need a little bit more games to say this more securely. It's still showcasing in the end it's kind of close to the average, but it's in the bottom end of it. Crick is not doing good. That's a bad win rate. The sample size is very low still, but yeah, people aren't really playing this that heavily either. Very low sample size. Malcolm and Kedis, 31.53. Marnius, Kalgar, also performing quite weak. Nayala the Blade Blossom, 130. She's actually dropped a bit in popularity. She used to be very popular and heavily played. She's still kinda heavily played, but a lot of people have more or less started to move a little bit more away from her, and mostly increased by playing more Cisse. She's still doing good though, like this is really good. If you compare Cisse, more tournament entries, so we can trust this win rate more, but still Nayela is actually performing better. Niv-Mizzet is doing quite good, very low sample size, so we can't trust it. Obenixelis is doing fairly good, very low sample size. And then we have this guy. Now, first and foremost, 13 is very low to say anything about Ratadrabik of Urborg, but still, for an Orzhov commander, he's showcasing some promise. What I mean by that is, it's not great win rate, and the sample size is very low, but for an Orzhov commander, it's pretty impressive. Rocco, 28.78. We have Malcolm and Tana at 28.47. We have Tyam at 26.58. We have Frasius and Dargo at 33.08. We have Frasius and Francisco at 24. Not popular, by the way. Vile Smasher and Malcolm at 31.35. We have... oh wow. This is very bad. Malcolm and Tymna at 22.3. Tymna and Dargo 30.82. I mean, you're seeing a difference here. Apparently Dargo is the better one to pair up with Tymna. Sample size is extremely low, but it's painting something of a picture. I actually personally trust it. Like, I haven't really been that impressed by Malcolm Tymna in general, while Pontus has truly showcased that this works. Tivit is doing great. This is a win rate that is higher than the total average, and the sample size is actually quite high. So this is something of a very trustworthy result of 32.67. So he's definitely in the recommendation area, while these guys are not. Frasius and Vile Smasher, 26.45. Tymna and Frasius, on the other hand, TNT, is still showcasing some promise. 34.11. That's really good. That is higher than Cisse. that is higher than tierlist Chrome. On the other hand, you don't have that many tournament entries, only 62, so this is a more stronger, trustworthy result, while this could have a bigger spread. So in the end, I'm going to say that I think definitely that tierlist and Chrome are better than TNT. Then we have Thrasius and tEDH, 27.65. We have Rograk Thrasius at 36.45. Talion at 25.93. I have been continuously saying that Talion inside your 99 is probably good, and I've seen data that is supporting that, but Talion played as a commander is not recommended. Stellally Wild Card. This is a newer commander, so the sample size haven't been accumulated yet. I can say that she is very popular, but I can also say that my observation from her have been quite poorly. So even though we only have 15 so far, but in the good player population, excluding all beginners, we still see a poor result. When we're looking at everyone, we pretty much see the same. Sauron the Dark Lord, 23% win rate. This is kinda cool, 38.18. I guess I need to look more into this, but it's only 11 tournament entries, so that 38.18 means nothing. But I found it appeared inside my data, so I thought, okay, I will showcase it. And here's the thing, I'm just showcasing you numbers. You make your own opinions if you believe this or if you disbelieve it. I don't believe this. I think that once people are playing this more, when that from is increased to, let's say, 200, I think this win rate is going to drastically drop. Then we have Narset Enlightened Master. Very small sample size and not doing great. Corval, the fake Cursed King, doing really good according to values, but the sample size is still low. 37.04. Yetmir, only 19, 27.06. Jenson, 30.19. Etali, 34.16. Elsha of the Infinite, 32.5. Edric Spy Master of Trust, 21.88. Derevi, 30.71. Lucas and Will, 34.43. Braids, 21.74, and the last one, Wargoth, is 25.96. Now that was a bunch of commanders and a bunch of numbers, but I will show you this picture and I will disappear for your convenience so you can see them all better. You see, a lot of those commanders had a very similar, equal win rate. There was like the difference between like 1%, 2% here and there, and that's nothing. In the end, I would like to point it out like this. Don't focus on finding the best commander. I would like to summarize it into there are a bunch of recommended commanders, the ones you're currently looking at right now. But also let me explain it like this. Now this is looking like a very promising result, like this looks like a very strong recommended commander, but that from is only 11, it's a very low sample size, so in the end I'm not going to recommend this. Because it's not trustworthy. The commanders you're looking at here are more confirmed. They have more experience, we have more data on them, confirming the fact that they work. So if you want to go to a tournament, if you want to bring any commander to a tournament, feel free to bring whatever you want. But if you're asking me of what I believe is confirmed, something that will work and is recommended, then here are the ones. I would like to point out that Nadu is an exception here. I don't have enough sample size to say that Nadu is confirmed really good. However, in my own personal experience, I feel very strong, my own personal opinion basically, that Nadu is good. So even though I don't have enough sample size on it yet, I truly believe that Nadu is great and I'm going to have a really strong result. So I'm gambling, you could say, that Nadu is going to have a very strong win rate in the future, but I feel like it's a very safe gamble. But I personally view all of these commanders somewhat equal. I don't think that one is better than the other. Okay, in the end there's definitely gonna be that tier list among them in the future. Once we have more sample size, we will probably see a bigger difference between them. But for now, I would say that they are more or less all equal. But we can also do the opposite. We can look at, let's go, not so recommended commanders. Now this list is of course a lot bigger. There are more commanders out there that is theoretically not recommended. But the thing is that we don't have enough data on every possible commander that you could theoretically bring to a tournament. So these are the ones that I can say more of a fact currently that they are not so good. Taken with a grain of salt. Like, these are commanders I predict are going to have a worse performance if brought to a tournament. Making Silas and Rograk a little bit bigger here, which is gonna make a lot of people surprised, even me. But once again, according to my findings, and that value up there, 765 tournament entries with this. This is, by the way, from only confirmed good players. It's not doing great in comparison when good players are playing a different commander, indicating that the choice of playing Silas and Rograk have an impact in the good player popularity's win rate. This is not a video explaining why that is showcase why that's a fact. It's just showcasing that outcome. The previous video, the one that I have in the link to the description below of the video, were showcasing why KINNAN was actually really good, even though he had a bad win rate in my previous calculation. I would like to point something out more here as well. You see, I think that we're seeing that a lot of these commanders had a very equal win rate is a positive news. It's a positive outcome. For example, let's just theoretically say that Nadu over there had an win rate up to like 10% difference compared to the second best commander. That would indicate that Nadu is overpowered and everyone should more or less play Nadu. Currently, we're not seeing that that's the case. We're seeing that Nadu is sitting equal to everyone else. He's still good, but he's around the equal level. But for example, if Nadu's win rate would climb up to 40%, while everyone stayed around at 30%, that would indicate that Nadu is overpowered and deserved a ban in the cEDH format. What we're seeing here now is that cEDH is something of a very healthy format. You have a lot of options. If you actually go back to something like 2017, it was a very unhealthy format because the only viable commander back then was Tymna Thrasius, and if you played anything else, you were basically a casual player. Trust me, that's literally how it was. And instead of the commander's choice being important, player skill is important, and that's really good. So what have we learned today? Honestly, I think what we've learned is that we need more data. We need more players playing more cEDH tournament games. That will happen over time, and in the future we will have a much more detailed, pinpointed understanding of what commanders are good and what not. But we're starting to have a really good picture overall, and we're starting to have like a recommended group and a not recommended group and a middle ground. We can definitely say that we have those more confirmed, but I will definitely keep you updated over time on future developments. But we've also learned, and I want to highlight is even more, that player skill is very important. Everyone is playing, or a lot of people are playing the same commander, but a very specific group is performing better with that commander compared to a lot of other players. And that is very good news for this format. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.